Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity of Orange County. We're so glad that you've joined us here today. Thank you, Bill. That was fabulous. Thank you so much. Before we get started, I'd like to affirm our vision and mission statements. Our vision statement, centered in divine love, we joyfully co-create a world that works for all. Our mission statement is to awaken, inspire, and transform lives. Before I get to announcements, I'd like to take this time to say thank you to those people that make this service possible. Bill on piano. We have Tom on audio, Waverly on streaming, and John on camera. Reverend Allison will be doing the daily word and our guided meditation. And Reverend Arlene is back today. Yay! So we are very excited. And my name is Tina, and I will be your platform assistant for today. So our announcements for today, February the 21st. One of the ways that we're building our spiritual community is by tapping into our creativity. We're calling for each of you and your families, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, your neighbors even, to send us your idea of what God is on a Post-it or index card. Be creative by using words, visuals, or both. Use pens, pencils, stickers, stamps, etc. And we will then put these together in a collage at Unity of Orange County. So submit your God is in one of the following ways. Mail your Post-its or index cards to Unity of Orange County, 23181 Verdugo Drive, Suite 103B, Laguna Hills, California, 92653 during the month of February and March. To minister, you can also email these to minister@unityoforangecounty.org. And we'll then create a collage of everyone's submissions for display. It's going to be really nice, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what creative Post-it notes we get. Our classes are all on Zoom, and the ID is 818-8859-3747. Today, from 11 to 12:30, we'll be having our spiritual discussion group based on The Quest. Wednesdays at 6:30 on Zoom, the book study based on Living Originally by Robert Brubet. The book is required for this class. Our gratitude circle meets on the fourth Sunday of the month. For a full listing of all of our upcoming activities, please go to our website, www.unityoforangecounty.org, to our calendar. Okay, thank you. And Reverend Allison, I'd like to invite you up to the podium. Thank you.
Good morning. The daily word for today, let go and let God. It's more than one word and it's perfect. I do what is mine to do and release the rest. Over the years, I have accepted more and more responsibility as I have grown in maturity and experience. I have also grown in wisdom as I am able to discern now what is mine to do. I have learned that what I take on and what I leave for others. I have also learned not to exhaust myself by taking on too many commitments. And perhaps most important, I know when to use my will and my determination to make things happen and when to let go. I recall times in my life when I felt frustrated that events did not go out and unfold in my way. I can now see that they unfolded perfectly, often in better ways than I could ever have imagined. I now let go easily, trusting in that perfection. And scripture today is from Acts 17:28. In him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your poets have said, for we too are his offspring. And now I just invite you to prepare for our meditation. Just begin to relax, find a comfortable space, feet on the floor, and just start to take those cleansing breaths. And this morning, let us know that God is love. And as we begin to unite in each other with this time of meditation, we are in that grateful and peaceful presence of the divine. Spirit is our sanctuary, our peace, and our serenity. One in the spirit of the divine, we can open our hearts to peace as we rest in this sacred stillness. We know the presence is within. And in this presence, we breathe, and then we exhale. And we let go of any thoughts of yesterday or concerns about tomorrow. Let us take a moment now and attune our thoughts to this presence of love and wisdom that is within, and open our minds to new insights and new understandings. And as we realize these new understandings, we can soar to new heights. We soar as on the wings of angels. And in this place, we see the events of our lives from a higher viewpoint, knowing that with God we can do all things. And resting in this moment, we just attune to the wisdom and the love and go within for us a moment. As we deeper turn our thoughts within, let us be aware of the healing power that is within us. Let us know that we can access the divine healing that flows throughout our body temples and experience that energy and strength. Take a moment and affirm that we are alive, alert, and enthusiastic. We are perfect expressions of life, and we give thanks for knowing that we heal in perfect order. With our hearts, we are united in this moment of meditation. So we bless our world and we envision peace for all people. Let us be reminded that the world is a sacred place and that each creation is a presence of God. In this awareness, we're able to see all people as expression of divine love and loving. And in that spirit, we affirm divine unconditional blessing for all. Knowing that this type of love paves the way for peace, we can rest in the silence. And as we begin to bring our meditation to a close and bring our awareness back to this place, let us acknowledge once again the love of the divine, knowing that we are an expression of this love. We let the power and presence move through us, and we give thanks for this quiet time together. And then bringing our attention back to this time and place, we're ready to return to the day's activities with a renewed and invigorated spirit. I invite you to go forth in your day, let go and let God. And so it is.
Hi, everybody. Things may look a little different. In case you weren't aware of it, I've had some foot surgery, and I have my foot in this cast, and I can't put any weight on it for about 8 weeks. So this is where you're going to see me. So the interesting thing will be whether I can talk sitting down. So yeah, I've never done that. You know, people joke around that I have to use my hands, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when I can't use my legs. But I'm so glad you're here, and I just wanted to let you know I have some good news before I talk about what we're going to talk about today. We are going to be reopening on Sunday, the second Sunday in March, which is March 10th, 11th. What is it? Well, anyway, the second Sunday in March. I'll let you know what day it is. And so we're going to be doing what we did the last time we opened. We ask you to wear your masks and social distance and all of that. But we hope to see you. We're going to have a special fellowship outside after the service. We're going to have pizza, and we're going to celebrate the fact that we can now come back to church. So hoping by then I'll be able to stand. If not, you can see me hobbling along and be joining you, and just really glad that you're all here. So I missed you guys. I want to thank Reverend Allison and Angie Keys for doing such a great job the last couple of weeks, and for Tina for stepping up to do platform, and for everybody else that makes the service possible. So with or without me, it's nice to know. I was watching from at home. So I just want to say I now understand why some of you like watching from home, because you're in your pajamas and you're in bed, and it's very nice, for a change. It's really good once in a while. But so today we're having our quest discussion, and we're going to continue talking about some things from the quest. And today we're talking about a new look at an old book. A lot of people come to Unity, and they come because they've had bad experiences with other churches. Or synagogues or whatever. And so a lot of people come to Unity and they have a really hard time with the Bible. As soon as you mention the Bible, they kind of like, no, I'm not interested in that at all. But that's because they were brought up maybe in a religion where they studied the Bible and they took it literally. They read it, and this is what this says, and this is what it means. Unity looks at the Bible metaphysically, because the Bible is really the story of our social and our spiritual consciousness, the growth of our consciousness. And the word metaphysics, though, comes from a Greek, and it's actually two words. And meta means above, beyond, and over. And the other one is physika, meaning physics. So it literally means beyond the physical. So what that means is, instead of reading these words and taking them literally, we read them and we look for the meaning behind the words. Because underneath these words is the key to our own spiritual unfoldment. And when you learn how to look at the Bible metaphysically, it opens up this whole avenue of spiritual growth and development. It's just a great tool when you understand that when you look at things literally, they have one meaning. When you look at them metaphysically, they have another. The metaphysical Bible study is really a self-discovery. It's an opportunity for us to discover what's going on in ourselves and where we are in our own spiritual unfoldment. And one of the favorite things I love to do is to just open up the Bible, pick a passage, read it, and then take it within and pray and meditate and find out what it's really saying. Because a lot of times what we think it's saying is not what it's saying. But because when we look at it metaphysically, what we're doing is we are perceiving the truth out of these words. The Bible was not written by God. It was written by spiritually inspired human beings. But in the Bible are these divine truths. And when we study the Bible metaphysically, what we're doing is we are extracting those divine truths, which we already have within us. So it's really this expression of divine ideas, but we already have it. So if we look at, for instance, the story of Adam and Eve, so, we all know the story of Adam and Eve. According to the Bible, God created the earth and said this is good and all of that. And then he created man and woman comes from the rib of the man. And they're in this Garden of Eden and everything is wonderful and perfect. And then all of a sudden they see this beautiful tree with this big apple on it, and Eve decides that she's got to eat this apple and convinces Adam to eat the apple. And they eat this apple of the tree of knowledge, and they fall from the Garden of Eden. They fall from that perfection. But it's not a literal thing. Nowadays, most people realize that the earth wasn't created in 7 days, and that man did not develop from just two people. Because if you try and look at the Bible, the story of Genesis is interesting. If you try and look at it like literally and you think about it, you have Adam and Eve, and then they have two sons, Cain and Abel. One kills the other. Where do all the other people come from? I mean, think about this for a minute. You have a male and a female, then you have two guys, then you have one guy, and now all of a sudden you have all these other people. So obviously something else should be derived from this meaning. So when we look at it, Adam, man, always represents the intellect, and Eve, female, always represents the intuitive part of it. So we come into this world like Adam and Eve, and we come in it perfect. We are perfectly created by this perfect creator. And we come into the world and we live in a Garden of Eden. You know, think about it. When you're an infant, you really don't know of any troubles and all of that. And then what happens is we develop self will. And the apple in the Garden of Eden represents that self will. Once we get a bite of that self will, and that usually happens as we're growing up, we develop, we're raised by parents, we learn to say yes, we learn to say no, we learn to go, I want this, I don't want that, and all of that. When we get that, what happens is we begin to separate from God. That's what that apple in the Garden of Eden represents. It represents our self will. Because as we develop our self will, what happens is we're going further away from God's will for us. Because now we're going, well, I don't want to do that, or that doesn't make any sense. And so the story of the Garden of Eden is the story of us and how we go from these perfect beings that we are created to be to the people that we are later on. And so it's this development. And the two Bibles, the Old Testament and New Testament, represent these different aspects of us. So I was brought up on Old Testament. I was brought up Jewish. I never looked at a New Testament. I didn't know what it was about. And if you've ever read the Old Testament, it's really scary. God is constantly smiting people and putting plagues and punishing people, and you begin to that's how I became an atheist. I thought, well, why would I want to believe in a God that does all this terrible stuff? But the Old Testament is really about this early consciousness of us. When you think about it, the basis of the Old Testament is the Ten Commandments. And the Ten Commandments give us a rule of how we are to behave. We don't kill, we don't steal. The New Testament is not about how we behave, but how we are in this world. It's the spiritual development of our consciousness from the Old Testament thinking of you do this, you don't do this, to a New Testament thinking of you are this, you become this. So when we look at things in the Old Testament and New Testament and we read it, it can be a little scary. So we're going to look at a couple of passages, one from the Old and one from the New, metaphysically, to see that things in the Bible don't always mean what we think they mean. So there's this passage in Isaiah, it's chapter 26, 20 to 21, and when we got this pandemic, COVID, Unity Worldwide had 60,000 calls from people wanting to figure out what this was, because they were sure this passage was a foretelling of COVID. And so they were asking Unity for an understanding of this. So the passage reads, "Come, my people, enter your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until the wrath is past. For the Lord comes out from his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth will disclose the blood shed on it and will no longer cover its slain." So a lot of people saw that passage and they went, oh my God, it's talking about COVID. We're shutting the doors and, God's wrath is coming at us and, we have to wait until the plague passes. And this is actually a story of hope because it doesn't necessarily mean what we think it means. It's a story of hope, victory, and fulfillment of a divine promise. It isn't written about COVID. It wasn't that Isaiah had some prophecy about COVID. It isn't the fact that COVID is God punishing us. It isn't any of that. Just like a hurricane, isn't God punishing us? So the first verse, says, "Come, my people, enter your chambers, shut your doors behind you, hide yourself for a little while until the wrath is past." Well, it seems kind of pleasant, take shelter and till this external stuff passes. And then the next verse says that while we're in the shelter, the Lord's going to come and punish the inhabitants. Now you can understand why I became an atheist, growing up in this kind of stuff. But that's not what it means. So the first verse is talking about entering our chambers by divine invitation. It is about going within to shut the world out outside. In other words, when things go wrong in our world, it doesn't matter what it is, instead of looking out there and figuring out how we could fix it, what we do is we go within. We go into prayer and meditation. We journal. We listen to music. We get some introspection to find out what is going on inside of us. It's actually giving us a break from the outer world. God is saying, take a break. Go within. Find the peace that is always within you. And then the next verse says, that God is going to come and punish us and all of that. Well, the Hebrew word that is translated to punish is actually more accurately translated to mean visit or oversee with concern. So it's not that God is going to punish us like we think of it and going to do some terrible things. It's that when we go in and we shut out the outside world, that God is going to come and visit us. It's going to oversee our concerns, because now we're taking our consciousness instead of from without to within, because it's within where we get these divine ideas. It's within where we get this consciousness that God is with us. It isn't about God punishing. It's about God fulfilling us. Now, those outer things that we need to go within aren't necessarily things like pandemics and hurricanes. They can be our own error thinking. Have you ever had a situation where something happens in your life and right away you go to the negative? Like, well, I can't, everything always happens to me. If something could go wrong in my life, it's going to go wrong in my life. And what did I do to deserve this, God? Why did you do this to me? So when we're in that negative thought, the only way we can get out of that negative thought is to go within. Because we don't find God out there in the world. We find God within. We're born with that divine presence within us. We're born with that perfection within us. And we can't realize that perfection until we go into the quiet. Jesus said to go into the closet and shut the door. Because when we're looking out there, we can't connect with God. I know I've told this story before. I was at a silent retreat and I was having trouble meditating. It was a Buddhist center and I was on day 8, and I'm sitting in this meditation hall with all these people on the cushions, and I can't get my brain to stop. It's going yada, 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 yada. And I'm looking at everybody meditating and I'm thinking, everybody is meditating and I'm sitting here in my own brain. And my brain is going nuts because it hasn't talked to anybody in 9 days. And then all of a sudden, I'm going into the next meditation, and I hear this voice say to me, go into the closet and shut the door. I thought, oh, Jesus is talking to me at this Buddhist place. So I went into this closet, which was where they stored all the meditation cushions in the back of the meditation hall, and I got my cushion and I closed the door. It said, shut the door. I shut the door, and I got on my cushion, and I started meditating, and I had the most unbelievable experience. And then I was able, the next meditation, to go out into the meditation hall because I was so busy looking out there and comparing myself with other people and judging myself against what I perceived other people were doing, that how can I possibly have any kind of connection with God? because I was so in my brain. So we go within, and it is only when we go within that we can overcome whatever difficulties are in our life. So there's another one from the New Testament, which people always have trouble with, and that is, from everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. That's another one that people, because it says the whole one goes, from everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. And from the one to whom much has been entrusted, even more will be demanded. Well, that doesn't sound very fair, and that's coming from Jesus. You know, and you're thinking, well, wait a minute here. I thought we were advanced when we got to the New Testament. And then we see things like this, and it's like, well, this doesn't sound much more advanced than anything else. Well, Jesus' message here is back the fact that we have this oneness with God, and that the more that we begin to understand this oneness with God, the more is required of us, because the harder it is for us to do the stuff we used to do. You know, it's like once you understand that you are one with God and everybody else is one with God, it makes it harder to judge other people. It makes it harder to look at other people and criticize them, because you realize that the same God that is within you is within them. The same divine that is within you is within them. When you don't understand that, when you know, before I thought of anything about the divine being in me, it wasn't a big deal that I didn't think there was divine in anyone else, because I just didn't believe that at all. But once you get this idea of oneness, we are all one and we are part of the one, it is harder for us to practice separatism. So the Bible is a key to our own spiritual development. And one thing that's good to do is to get a metaphysical Bible dictionary or revealing word and look up what some of the words mean metaphysically, like the nouns. But the best thing to do is to just take a verse and meditate on it and ask yourself, what is this saying to you? What is it saying to you? And find a meaning that not only makes sense to you, but makes your life better. Because that's what God is trying to do, is speak to us so that we live with more peace, with more love, with more compassion, with more understanding, and with a deeper knowing that we are all one. We are part of the Creator, and the Creator is part of us. So I invite you to close your eyes now for a moment. And take a few deep breaths. And think of some Bible passage or something that might come to your mind. Maybe it's a psalm you heard as a child, or maybe it's part of like the Lord's Prayer or something. I'm asking God to reveal to you what it truly means, with the understanding that we created in the image and likeness of God. That God is not something out there, but something within. That God has put into us these divine ideas. And the key to these ideas is in the Bible. The one place we never look is where the answers are. So try that sometime for a meditation. Open up the Bible. Find a passage. Ask God to reveal to you what it is that you need to learn for your own spiritual unfoldment. And you might be surprised at the meaning, at the understanding, and how that passage can help you in your own spiritual unfoldment. So we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for divine ideas and for your presence that is always present, deep within each one of us. And for that, we are grateful. And we say, Amen. And so it is.
Thank you, Bill. That was great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Reverend Arlene, for your wonderful message. It's very inspiring. In Unity, we have 5 basic principles that we believe in. And the first one is God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. 2, I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. 3, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. And 5, I do and give my best by living the truth that I know I make a difference. And we also believe in the giving and receiving. And so we here at Unity of Orange County have several ways that you could donate if you please. And one of them, of course, is sending a check, which is an easy way. Also, you can donate by texting 77977 and type in Unity of OC Give. And you can give a one-time gift or a recurring one as well. And also, if you would use smileamazon.com, that's another way. We do get a small portion of that if you click on Unity of Orange County. And you can go onto our website and you can click on the donation there as well. So if you're preparing a donation now, why don't we pray on our, for some reason I'm falling all over the place here. We can pray on our donations. Thank you. So, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. All righty. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we will have our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week, and we'll hopefully see you next week.